Now, JD Vance made some really strong remarks about Tim Walz's alleged military history. This is what he said.
Why did Kamala Harris choose a person who has lied about their military service? I think that is a serious lapse in judgment, and I don't want to hear from a campaign spokesperson of Kamala Harris. I want to hear Kamala Harris herself address what I just said.
And then he demolished CNN host Dana Bash for her line of questioning.
You've now asked me 3 questions about comments that I made 3 years ago. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she supported policies that opened the American southern border. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she lied to the American people about Joe Biden's middle facility for the office. You are interviewing me, Dana, because I respect the American people enough to sit down for an interview.
I appreciate that.
Kamala Harris has been the nominee for 3 weeks. She hasn't sat down for a real interview.
Believe me, we are asking. You're not going to get a disagreement there.
But the point is, Dana, you've got me for 15 minutes or however long you have me. We should be talking about public policies that matter. How are we going to lower inflation? How are we going to reduce the cost of food and housing? How are we going to close down that southern border? We've talked so little about that. We've talked a lot more about a sarcastic remark I made 3 years ago. I think we should talk about the issues that most Americans care.
Alex, does JD Vance have a point here? He's fronting up while Kamala is MIA. She won't do any interviews or answer serious questions.
Well, Kamala is not qualified to speak extemporaneously just off the top of her head, so she's not going to do very well in a situation where she has to answer actually hard questions, questions that are not going to be pre-planned. So I don't think that it benefits her at all to be in front of the media whatsoever. So once she actually has to debate Donald Trump, the country will see how incompetent Kamala Harris really is. And now she covered up for Joe Biden this whole entire time, and she's not going to be able to cover up for herself when she actually has to answer some tough questions.
Absolutely, she does. It's appalling that she still hasn't. Now, speaking of cover-ups, Joe Biden, he's still hanging in there, determined to remain president until November. God knows why. The New York Times writes, for a few weeks, the media coverage of the Biden White House built up the idea that there was a major scandal here, implicating the inner circle that encouraged the president to run for re-election and practiced deception amid his obvious decline. Alex, the reality is this is an old man still in charge of the country. That scandal in itself has not gone away.
No, and it's actually kind of sad. Even though I'm a conservative, when Joe Biden fell off his bike in Delaware, it made my heart hurt. And so, knowing that he's a feeble, elderly man, I'm actually happy that he's at the beach. That's really where he should be. We know that he hasn't been the president basically his whole entire term. So it's really not a surprise. I mean, I would like him to step down, but at this point, just let him rest. The guy's 81. I feel bad. I'm empathetic to Joe Biden at this point because our country is such a mess. Certainly he can't fix it, and Kamala can't either. So I guess just let it implode until people start paying attention on what's really happening.
Yeah, look, I mean, the guy just fell asleep. He was tired on the beach. He's just let him go, for goodness sake. I don't know why he's not stepping down, but he just wanted to have a rest. Now, look, you have confronted the mayor of Dallas for allegedly cheating on his wife and for not condemning Dallas Police Sergeant Arturo Martinez, who posted "Aim Better" after the Trump assassination attempt. This is what you said.
So you're a fraud, just like how you cheated on your wife and you got caught on the doorbell camera. Remember that one in your divorce proceedings? Remember that one? And you want to be a Republican, but now those kids are being raised by a single mom. We had Arturo Martinez, a sergeant of the Dallas Police Department, for 14 years, saying that he should have aimed better. Thomas Brooks, the assassin, should have aimed better. I think that's pretty disgusting that our police force, some of the highest people in the police force, the sergeant, says it's okay for a president to be assassinated. Cops aren't supposed to have political viewpoints. Right, so now you want to be a fake Republican? That's cool. But you were the first one to make us wear masks. You were the first one vaccinated. I'm not going to forget that, okay? I know who you really are. And you're trying to placate us. That's not going to work with a pimp on a blimp. So I'm going to call you out. Just like you cheated on your wife, now you're trying to cheat on the Republican Party. It disgusts me that you're trying to do that. You have no integrity.
Alex, I got to say, you're on fire.
Well, I am fired up because the mayor of Dallas is a fraud. He basically has always been a Democrat, shut us down during COVID, was the first person to shut us down and open vaccine clinics and wear a mask. And, make it very hard for people to speak at these public meetings. And now all of a sudden he's a Republican because he wants to run for senator in John Cornyn's seat that's about to become open in a very conservative district. So it's just obvious that if he would cheat on his wife, which that's all been exposed in his divorce, that he's going to cheat on the Republican Party. And that's what frustrates me more is just, at least AOC admits that she's a crazy liberal. I don't like these guys that flip-flop and act like Kamala, the chameleon, that don't actually be that aren't them actual authentic self. And that's what Mayor Johnson is. He's a fraud and he's a chameleon. And I have to keep calling him out because he hasn't condemned Arturo Martinez, who was a sergeant for 14 years, who said the president should have been assassinated. So this is what's happening in Dallas. And I'm going to be at the police commission on Tuesday calling out Chief Eddie Garcia for not firing Arturo Martinez, who's still on paid leave.
Good on you for speaking up and good on you for keeping all these people on your toes. We need more people like you out there, Alex Stein. Good to have you on. Thanks for joining us.